Well, I'm not offering views on that. As I've said, my instinctive view is that I have a strong attachment to freedom of religious expression, to people from religious minorities being able to express their religious views in the way that they feel is appropriate. I don't want to impose majority religious views on society as a whole, or secularization on society as a whole. That is true for Christian minorities in countries in the Middle East just as much as it is for people from minority religious groups here in the United Kingdom. So my starting point is that people of all religions should be able to practice their own religion in the way that they see fit. I think there is a debate happening. I observe this to be the case. I haven't started that debate. I think there is a legitimate debate for liberals to have, as well as society as a whole, about how freedom of expression is best expressed in our country, and the degree to which children are able to exercise free choices. And so that is a public debate which I think we should have, and we don't need to feel fearful of having, and open-minded, tolerant, liberal-minded people can express a variety of views in that area, because I think it's a legitimate and interesting area for discussion.
No French-style burqa ban in Britain, effectively?
Well, I think that for most British people feels instinctively the wrong path to go down, and most British people are very proud of our long tradition of freedom of expression for people in lots of different ways, including freedom of religious expression, and they think that people should be free to wear the clothes they want, and that should be a choice that people can make for themselves. But there is a legitimate debate. I'm not going to be someone who criticises people who, for entirely decent and tolerant and reasonable reasons, thinks that there is a debate to be had about whether children should feel any degree of compulsion about the clothing that they wear. I think that is an interesting discussion that liberal-minded people can have. But my instinct is not to impose by law or through government preferences on people about their religious views. I do think it's an area that is a legitimate area for public debate, and a debate that liberals can have as well. My instinctive feeling is that I'm very uncomfortable about people being told about their own religious preferences. I think we should have freedom of religious expression in this country, and I'm uncomfortable about any notion of imposing majority religious views or secularization on the population as a whole. And that would be just as true for Christian minorities in some countries as it is for Sikh or Muslim or Jewish people in this country. But I think there is also a legitimate debate which people can have about how to protect freedom of expression, and whether children, or in this case girls, are always able to exercise free choices at an age when society doesn't deem children to be able to exercise free choices in other areas. So, I think there is a genuine debate which liberal-minded, tolerant people of all religious backgrounds can have, and I think that would be a debate which people would be interested in engaging in.
But of course this is a debate that could potentially end up in some form of legislation. You wouldn't rule that out?
Well, as I say, I'm instinctively uncomfortable about the idea of legislating on people's religious practices. I take the view that we have a long, proud history of religious tolerance in this country, and that we don't have a imposition of religious norms, or for that matter secularism, on people who are from minority religious views. But as I say, I think there is a genuine debate in the country, and it's reasonable that that is reflected in our political discourse as well, about whether children should be in a position where they are exercising choices about the religious clothing they wear, for example. And I know there are people who have strong views on both sides of that debate, who are coming to that from an entirely liberal, tolerant persuasion, and there are people of different religious backgrounds who are interested in that debate, and all I've said is I think it's a good area for us to consider.
But again, you wouldn't have a debate if there wasn't the possibility of legislation. Surely that is one facet of the debate, and that's something that Nick Clegg seems to have ruled out. So is there any disagreement between you and the party leader?
No, there isn't. As I said, I am instinctively uncomfortable about religious majority groups or secular groups imposing their views on religious minorities. I think it's a great prize in this country that we have freedom of religious expression. So, yeah, my starting point is freedom of choice and people being able to express their religious preferences in whichever way they feel is appropriate, so long as it doesn't impose their beliefs unreasonably on other people. But as I say, I think there is an interesting debate about the degree to which people under the age of 18, degree to which children are able to decide and express their freedom of choices. And then there are lots of other areas of policy making where society deems children to be unable to express freedom of choice and to make mature decisions about their interests. And so, no, there is a debate to be had there. It's a debate that's already happening. It's a debate that's happening in schools, it's happening in the media, and I think it's reasonable that politicians should be engaging in that debate as well.
Okay, just two final questions. So, particularly on children, I mean, do you think so there could be a way for the government to intervene for girls, let's say, under the age of 18, and was the university right to implement a ban?